Should be drinking it straight out of the
All
bottle.
right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another beautiful Sunday for the Totally Unprofessional podcast. I can't even say unprofessional. That's great. Today, I have the entirety of Promise Game with me. What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
So, I don't know if you've seen my previous streams, but this is totally not anything like 100% professional. Just generally a conversation, just to meet everybody and get to know each other and have fun, and hopefully people watching can get to know you guys a little better, maybe check out some of your stuff. So this is we'll just go around the horn. Everybody introduce yourselves, say your name and what you do in the band.
Nice. Well, we'll start. I'm Colin. I sing in the band, lead vocals, and this gentleman next to me.
I'm Eric, and I tickle the ivories and enjoy the synth a little bit.
Nice.
Matty Ice, I play bass.
Adam, I play guitar and I'm secondary vocals.
And I'm Mark. I slap those skins.
That's what we love calling it.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. So I know you guys just came out with an EP. I did my research and listened to the EP, and I quite enjoyed it, but now I'm drawing a blank as to what the name was, and I didn't take any notes. Unprofessional podcast this is. So
Yeah, all right. We found the right effing dude, bro.
this is the guy. So tell us what's the name of the EP?
Take it, Adam.
It's like inconsequential anyway. EP is called "It Won't Be Long Now,"
It won't be
Dot,
long
dot, dot.
now.
and right, of course, with the ellipses.
You
Yeah.
need the ellipses. So what was that process like? Is this your guys' first EP together as a group?
Together, yeah. Mark and I have been playing in bands because we're brothers,
Right.
and so we've been playing in bands together since like 2001,
Yeah, something like that.
probably like 2000. So probably like 20 years since high school.
Yeah. And Eric and I have actually played in a couple bands together as well. Essentially, the way we kind of brought it in was we decided to put together a band and kind of just write an EP for our friends to listen to. We were like, Eric and I were talking about it one day. We knew exactly who we wanted to be in the band because we're just all great friends and we all know that we love this style of music. So like automatically knew Matty Ice was going to be on bass if he wanted to be in, and the Elverson brothers were, automatics too. So the EP came together really quick. We had to deal with a lot of COVID, stuff. But other than that, the process was pretty seamless. And
Yeah, I mean, when we got started, me and Colin were basically just like, we are all pop punk dudes and we should just start playing some music and see what happens. And I think when we initially started, it was just like, we're going to cover some stuff and have some fun. And then Adam started bringing originals to the table, and we got to a point, I think, after a few months of just kind of once a week rehearsing and stuff, we were like, oh, this is kind of good, we should keep pursuing this. And then, we eventually dove into the idea of recording and stuff, and it's kind of built itself up to being, this unique band situation that, I don't think we ever completely intended on it being in the first place, but we're like, completely all in at this point.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so when I was listening to the EP, I noticed quite a few influences that I quite enjoyed. A little bit of like Blink influence, maybe some Taking Back Sunday. Are those bands you would say would be influential to your style or sound?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, big time.
Like a ton of early 2000s scene stuff, really.
Yeah, I think,
You can't be pop punk without like Blink-182 seeping its way into your psyche and like your influence. They're just a huge name in the scene. They're the first show I've ever went to, so it's just like, Blink is just kind of. It was my first kind of like. It's so easy to learn, kind of as a bass player. So you just like that's what you start with, and then that just kind of it comes together that way.
Right.
Yeah, and you mentioned Take Back Sunday. I have to say, on Take Back Sunday, you're like the fourth or fifth person that's actually brought that up. So apparently, a lot of people hear that. It might be a lot of people say like the energy comes from like it reminds like the energy. So it's really like Adam said, anything early 2000s pop punk, but with that kind of that raw energy, that we kind of all miss, that is kind of lost in some of today's music.
We've also gotten tons of people mentioning Tony Hawk. Like they think we sound like 4 or 5 people have said that to us.
Yeah. That's funny because every time I write a pop punk song, I don't know, you guys probably didn't watch the first episode, but I had my friend Matt on here. Every time I send him a demo of a pop punk song, he goes, reminds me of a Tony Hawk track, like something like Pro Skater.
Every time.
Exactly. Funny. No, yeah, good stuff.
So
I didn't see your first one actually, but I saw your last one with early retirement. I got to say before we leave out on here, I've been talking with those guys because they're from upstate New York, like I know you are, and Tyler's the man. I just want to give him a quick shout out because I did see your last one with them, and Early Retirement's a super awesome band. Just wanted to say hi to them.
Yeah, no, those guys are awesome. Tyler and I went to high school together.
Oh, no way.
In a really small town called Poland. About 30 people per graduating class or so up in there.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Country baby.
So we go back a long ways, and then he moved out towards Rochester and met all them guys when he went to college. So it was cool reconnecting with him.
Nice.
So I kind of want to, bring the focus back a little bit. So you guys got together, you started jamming. When you got to the point when you were ready to take a few songs and make an EP, where did you go? Is this recorded, is somebody here an engineer, or did you take it to a studio nearby, or what's the story?
Adam, I think you can take that one for sure.
Yeah, dude, you set it up.
Well, not even really. So there was a kid that my girlfriend knew from high school, and he was in a pop punk band, and they were coming out with something. They had been teasing it for a little while, and she was chatting with them on Instagram, and asked where they went, because they're just down over the border in Massachusetts. And they were like, we went, oh, no, wait. She told me about them, and then I asked them, is what happened over Instagram. And they said that they went to this place, Revelry Studios in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is like a 20-minute drive for all of us, 2 minutes for Mark.
Yeah.
So we just hit up this like little mill studio and spent several days in there doing work.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a blast. Our producer Matt Blanchett over at Revelry, he really helped shape the EP. We went in there with, what we thought were going to be our final songs. We knew we were going to be playing around with them and making some changes, but Matt really definitely helped us bring it to that next level when we got in there. So I know we all felt like we got like a cool like producer vibe, and that was really fun.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having, an ear from the outside, listening to when you're putting it all together. And, he would always be like, well, that's great, but have you tried this? And have you tried this? And a lot of the recording stuff was like, just cool experimental stuff, trying things like, oh, this sounds cool, because when you're playing it in a rehearsal space, you never really hear like exactly what could be the potential. Until you have, somebody who has a lot of experience with sound engineering and production who can give you, those opinions and things like that. And he was real instrumental in that.
Big time.
Yep.
Okay. So would you say that you had all the material pretty much written then, or it was a lot of like we got to the studio and then we started trying out, this or that or the other thing once we started?
We had like kind of like a surprise sax solo experiment.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. For the If It Makes You Happy cover. I think we talked about having a sax solo, but like once we got to the studio, that's the only time we're like, okay, we could actually do this. And
I had been secretly texting Kyle about that for like 2 months. So that was like in the works for me for a long time.
Yeah. A buddy of ours is a distributor for Founders Beer. And we were like, we're tight with him and stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah, maybe I could come lay down a sax solo and bring you guys some beer. And he kind of showed up to the recording session, and we threw together this really funky bridge sax solo thing. And it was
really cool.
Yeah, it was wicked cool.
I think that's the only thing. We had that sax solo, and then like maybe a couple other things that we needed to, or we knew that we were going to kind of expand upon when we got there. But the songs were 95% done. I mean, they were, we could have gone and played them at a show if we really wanted to. But, like we said, kind of was that taking it to the next level when we got there, for sure.
Well, I would say the ballad was the only one that wasn't fully fleshed, because a ton of that happened on the very last day in the last 3 hours that we had booked.
Yeah, that's Pinks and Blues he was referring to, the piano ballad that Eric sings on. And yeah, that one for sure we worked a lot on in the studio. Yeah, so maybe that one. Yeah, okay, you were right. That one we did more stuff.
But the rest of them pretty fleshed out. It was just like minute harmony changes and stuff like that.
And I'll speak from a synth standpoint, a lot of that had to do with being in a space where we could try different sounds and layer different things digitally, from a keyboard standpoint that we weren't able to do live. It's just kind of impossible to do that when you're doing rehearsals and stuff like that. So we always had a lot of melody lines laid down for the synth part, but getting into the studio, we were able to really expand upon those and add things to it and try different things and stuff like that.
Well said. I really enjoyed your answer. So after you guys recorded this, how long have you been sitting on it? Have you, was this done over the summer, or is it, only been a couple months and then you're like, okay, it's time to put it out? What's because I know COVID had a lot to do with over the last year, it delaying releases, making things different. Some people might have held out on releases to make sure that they could try to play shows, and then evenally.
Day to remember.
Yes.
Day to remember syndrome.
Jesus.
No, we love it. We all love a Day to Remember here. And I personally love the new album. We won't get into that unless you want to later. But I think speaking to that, we definitely we went into the studio in, November, right, guys? Right before
September was the first time we went in and recorded Take It Back.
That's right. So we did 2 songs first in the studio in September, Take It Back and Don't Act Like Me.
No, the cover. The cover, if it makes you happy.
Right, if it makes you happy. All right, somebody else take this. I can't.
No, you got it. We believe in you. We believe in you.
Right, so I will get it right from now on. If it makes you happy, and Take It Back. We then basically we did kind of sit on it, but with the holidays and everything like that, lives were busy. And we went back into the studio in November to finish the EP. And we took a look at it and we were like, all right, what do we think is a good time to release this? And Adam had a great idea of let's Valentine's Day weekend, that's a great time to do it. And we're like, cool, that sounds fun. So we released the first 3 singles a week apart, starting January 15th. And that was something Adam, you can speak more to it, but Adam sent me a video of our last night talking about how they do all their DIY and how they do the releases. And, it had a ton of really good content from a marketing perspective in there. So we kind of went with that a little bit, did our own spin on it, but released 3 songs over 3 weeks and then waited 2 weeks and then dropped the EP.
And then we waited, 2 months, and we actually did a music video that just came out last, was it Sunday or last?
Friday, yeah.
So it was actually, it was
2 days
2
ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
You can tell that we know our shit, right?
Yeah, staggering releases is real. It just keeps the momentum going, and it keeps a steady state, so you at least have something to look back for, once a week or maybe once a month even.
Yeah, and we have friends literally every Friday being like, oh, so cool, another Promise Game song, oh, another Promise Game song, oh, another Promise Game song, and then boom, EP hit. So it was cool the way we released it, I think.
Right. I like the weekly releases that we decided on quite a bit. We'll probably do it again.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about the releasing. Just how you guys went about it, because I noticed it. I liked it. I thought it was really interesting.
Cool.
Where did that idea initially come from again? I know you touched on it, but I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam, take this one because it really is Adam's brainchild.
Well, but it wasn't it just like we were talking about it for a long time on a Zoom meeting and just sort of like
it was more
there?
You brought up that, like, we were talking about it and we were all indecisive, and you basically said, I'm going to send you all this video. Watch it. And you did.
Right, which was a video by Finn McKenty of the Punk Rock MBA on YouTube. And he sat down with this interview with our last night, and they talked about how they approach about doing releases and how on, I don't remember what album it is right now, but the album begins with the song Fate. And it was the first single that they released, and they said after doing that, they would never release the first song as a single again. We actually did end up doing that for the third release. But they said they couldn't get people to listen to the rest of the album. They came on, listened to Fate, and then didn't continue on listening. And it was just like one of the most in-depth interviews from a marketing perspective for a band I've ever seen.
Yeah. So, and I'm a marketing guy, like day job. I've been in marketing my entire career. And when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I was like, Adam, I'm in. Let's go. Like, let's just do these 1 week and then wait 2 weeks to let them all kind of simmer a little bit before we drop the full EP. And, you know, it was, you know, it's not like we came up with the idea. It was more of like we're always looking for, you know, not even ways to just improve Promise Game, but like Adam's all like super interested in that side of music, like, you know, and we all kind of have a little bit of that in us. So, you know, it's just like putting it all together and putting our own spin on it and seeing what we do next time. Who knows? But like Adam said, probably keep it pretty close.
Yeah.
We lost Adam.
You lost me?
Oh, there.
Oh, there
it is.
Oh. Did we go away?
Sorry about
Okay.
that. I think my internet's not happy with me right now.
Oh,
Is it? Okay, it seems fine. But the whole weekly thing, the whole like one every week, I think that was all us though, because then our last and I didn't talk about that in the video. You know, like we just decided like let's just like form a hype train. I guess.
Quick fun though, like not something like, because it was like a quick hype train and we wanted to do it fast. It was like, why drag this out? Like, because our intentions are to make our music. Like, we're not going to make an EP and then sit on it for a year and a half and then make another one. Like, we're already making new music, so we don't need this EP to sit around for people to like it over the next. We want them to like it forever, but in the next, you know, we're already talking about when we're going to go back in the studio. So I think if we continue to do that, it'll work itself out, and just be aggressive with that type of marketing. And I've talked to other bands about it too. They've asked, like, you know, I really like what you guys are doing, like, and it's essentially, you know, stay in front of your audience and, you know, give them a reason to look at something, essentially, and to listen.
Right. I think the music video was a gigantic example of that, and I think the streaming numbers that we looked at this morning show it.
Yeah, big time.
So, I also wanted to touch on that. So, in regards to the streaming, because I know, Colin, I know you've been doing the playlist there.
Yeah.
So I noticed you started doing that right around the time you guys were just about to release things. That's not a coincidence, is it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a coincidence. I actually saw a couple other bands doing it. Like, I was basically I started the playlist, I think, right after I made a huge mistake, or maybe right before I made a mistake, one of the two. It was well after If It Makes You Happy, and I was like, all right, we're getting plays, but, you know, it's just not, it doesn't seem like it's not getting on a ton of posts right off the bat. And I was just like, you know what, let's just make our own, and it's a good way for us to connect with other bands. And, you know, for me specifically, I speak for myself, but also for all of us, and saying, like, we want to, like, support this scene. The reason why we're a band is because we love playing pop punk music, and we were, like, sick and tired of not having fun doing it, so we decided to do it. And we know there's a ton of other bands out there that, like, deserve to be heard. They're amazing bands on that playlist if you listen to it. You know, guys that I'm like, they should be playing the House of Blues with the shows that all our friends are going to. Like, these bands are amazing, but they're not getting the plays. So I thought it'd be cool to put a playlist together, get the community together, and just, you know, try to keep it fresh, try to keep it updated to get, you know, other bands to be heard. It helps Promise Game. I'll tell you right now, it's not our biggest playlist, but it definitely started us up a little bit with getting plays going so that people kind of saw the name. And then next thing we knew, we started getting on other playlists and another playlist, and then it kind of snowballed where we're at like 45, I think we're at 46 active playlists right now.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't think it was that many.
Yeah. Well, actually, so that like New Music Friday is like one that I love. I listen to every week. That we pop on and off that one. There's some that we pop on and off because they update it every week. But yeah, we're averaging like 40 playlists, and I do attest a lot of that too. The defendant to support the playlist on Spotify, because a lot of those bands would hear us and they would be like, "Wow, thanks for adding us to your playlist," and they would share and be like, "Hey, thanks Promise Game for putting us on your playlist." And next thing we knew, we had 5 page likes and you could see the streams coming in. So it was definitely not a coincidence, but it wasn't a way for us to, it was definitely a way for us to get exposure, but it was also a way that I thought personally that I kept seeing all these amazing bands. Like one of them, the early ones, was Early Retirement that we talked about earlier. Like I was talking with those guys and it was just like, you guys deserve to be heard by so many more people. Like I'm putting you at the top 3 of my playlist. Let's go. And there was like 100 people following it. Now it's up to almost 400 in a couple weeks. So.
Oh, weren't you saying it's like the modern day mixtape is like being on the Spotify playlist? Like that's a sort of throwback to the 80s, like cassette tapes, passing them around to like a show or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Nobody, like everyone's always, even on Facebook, if you go in any of the groups or even on Instagram, everyone's like, send me your playlist, send me your playlist, send me your playlist. And it's just, once you hit like, it's just sitting there and you can throw it on anytime. So you're absolutely right. It is the new mixtape, the new, CD, the new burn CD, all that crap.
Right.
I've never even thought of it that way. That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, that's good.
Because to be honest with you guys, before I saw what you were doing, I was sitting here in the dark because I do a solo thing where I write some music in my free time. Not that I have much of that, but
yeah, I'm sure.
I try to make time to do it just because it's a good mental release. But it's like nobody knows what I'm doing because I'm not really out there pushing it. You know what I mean? So I really admire the way that you guys have rolled this thing out. It seems to go well.
Yeah, that's like
Colin's a career marketing guy. So when we started doing this, he sunk his teeth right into it.
Yeah,
and a lot of the success that we've had in terms of exposure and stuff like that is him just putting in so many extra hours on top of his extra career, like doing that. And I think we're all grateful. I think he drives us nuts.
Like a real front man. A legit front man. They have to put up with me.
It's got the lead singer syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that podcast so much.
Right?
I was listening to it on the way here, actually.
That's funny.
No. But I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. If you ever want I'm always down to talk about music promotion. It's super fun. And again, we want to help everybody in the scene, and whether it's getting something getting more SoundCloud plays or whatever it may be, that's what it's all about. So any way we can help other bands, and it helps us with our rollout too. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And I also wanted to ask this because you guys are from New Hampshire. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we just had snow today.
What's the scene?
Falling right now.
Mean, I know right now COVID has shut pretty much everything down, but before COVID, what's the scene look like? Is it thriving out there, or no?
Nah.
Not much?
It's like the scene is thriving in Boston. But in New Hampshire, venues are just closing and closing and closing and closing.
No, now after COVID, who knows?
People might open those back up as venues. Yeah. Who knows?
Well, the Shaskeen is a place, for example, that used to have a lot of shows, and now they're not having shows, and we've lost our main venue for even bigger bands that would come around. Not huge bands, Boys of Fall would play at this one place called the Bungalow in Manchester, and that's gone now. And they have another place where it's going to go, but it's. It seems like we don't have a stable state theater in Portland, Maine. We don't have a place for bands to come play. We really don't. There's not a stable place.
Well, I I think the Shaskin is back to doing comedy because like you don't have to pack people in so hard for like a comedy show. I do anticipate them getting back to like hosting shows because like the Shaskin is weird. It's this bar, like this Irish pub, and then in the back there's this huge room with another bar, and they host like comedians you've heard of, and then like the Wu-Tang Clan, or at least Wu-Tang Clan members are there like kind of often.
Yeah, often they're there often, yeah.
Right. And then like you can also have a metal show there and stuff like that. Like that place is very, very interesting. I think it might get back to a normal level there.
You have to imagine the Manchester, New Hampshire scene as being a mix of three different things. You've got the new metal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Love to bring those people in. Country music,
Huge.
love to bring country music in. And then there's like this side thing of hardcore, post-hardcore, pop punk music, like in the smaller venues. And then, you know, like the random sporadic hip hop stuff here and there. But like from a standpoint of music, it's a little strange, definitely. Like Manchester has an arena, and that arena typically brings in just strictly, you know, like new metal, pop, and country music. Like that's about it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's really not a lot of like places, and we're always like all five of us. If we're going to shows, we're half the time we're either in Boston or Portland. So
Yep.
it's mostly Boston.
Or
Like
Worcester.
Worcester.
I always lump Worcester and Boston. I should not do that.
Right, they're like an hour and a half away from each other.
So that was another thing I was going to ask. So you guys travel a lot in your area for shows, you know, or is it?
Yeah, I mean when shows are happening.
When
for
shows
sure.
are happening, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually mainly Boston, because normally anything that goes to Portland, Maine is going to be in Boston the day before or the day after. Sometimes not.
We've seen some really cool shows in Portland that were like very random. You know, seeing like 4 Years Strong at what was that place called?
This was the Port City Music Hall.
The Port City Music Hall, which is just basically a glorified giant room. You know, and you know, seeing a band of like
500 person max, I would
The
say.
whole place literally turned into one mosh pit at one
And
point.
we saw, you know, like a Day to Remember at the State Street Theater. Like, they have some cool stuff every now and then, but I would say definitely 80% of the stuff we go to is always in Boston.
But for us, when we so I don't know if we haven't probably said this, we have not played a show yet. Promise Game. Like
really?
we started right before COVID. Like we started writing music the summer of 2019. Our songs were pretty much done like right before the holidays. We're like, all right, guys, you know, have fun. We're gonna take a couple weeks off. We're gonna do the family thing, and then we're gonna get back to it in like January. And we did, and we like started rehearsing again, and then we weren't like putting the pedal to the metal. We had no reason to really.
Well, and then don't forget, a lot of us went on vacations. Mark and I went to Disney in February, right before COVID.
I was gone in Florida at a golf tournament for like a week and we were all like around, and right like when COVID hit, we were like, shit, like seriously, we were right there. Like I think back now, it's like, man, if we had just done it. But then what would be the point? Because there's no way to promote it. Again, there's no way to go out and do shows to have people hear your music. So we basically we're like, all right, we're still gonna do this album. We're not gonna not produce this album. We've already worked so hard on it. So we just basically continue to work on it, recorded it, and now we're talking about doing stuff. We're talking about playing shows, but we haven't been able to. When we do, there will be opportunities for us in the area. But you know, kind of bring it full circle. There's no big place to play, and there's no if we wanted to bring a bigger name act into the city of Manchester, I don't even know where they would play right now. In our scene.
I don't think anywhere yet. I don't anticipate anywhere until June at least.
Yeah. The question is where.
Yeah. I don't even know where that is anymore.
And that's the whole thing.
I mean, maybe the Shaskin, which now I'm viewing as maybe the only small venue left in Manchester.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
So you said the bungalow closed entirely? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
All the Bungalow are going to the Jewel nightclub.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the spot. You can go there.
Hey, that's
a spot.
I think we should preface that with, hey, that's a spot that murders have happened.
Yeah. Hey, college.
Anyway, Prospect Hill played there.
Exactly. All right, next.
So, yes, we'll move on to the next topic. So I noticed that the EP artwork and your music video, it's a lot of like nostalgic old pictures of everybody. Was that like the plan from the start, or is this something you came up with afterward, or?
Let me feel this.
You got it.
So, I think, so my career, I'm a professional photographer, and we toyed around no, it's fine. Like at least twice I went out there to do some kind of photo shoot with ideas.
My wife was at one of them.
Yeah, I mean, like it just, and we did them, and the pictures, like I think everybody thought the pictures were great, but like it never really hit the nail on the head. And then we were all like, what would be like a super awesome kind of pop punk, like old school, early 2000s vibe? Is like, why don't we just put a collage of pictures of us all as kids, on there? And after, a couple experiments with different photo shoot ideas and things that we wanted to do, we ended up landing on that. And it was actually really cool because we ended up expanding upon that and using those ideas for the music video that we just released. And I think I think the thing with pop punk is that like it's inviting, to meet the personalities of the people in the band, and a lot of that has so much to do with like how we grew up and what we're doing, and like just being just being kids and having fun with it. So that was cool. So we all hit up our parents and got pictures and videos and all these different things from like when we were kids, and ended up with that idea. And I think we just all agreed, like, well, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, the second we knew, like, people saw like the album art we would share with like our friends before it dropped, and people were like, oh my god, you guys are adorable. Oh my god, you guys are so cute. And it's like, yep, this is perfect. Like, we're good. It's like having a puppy, walking around with a puppy. It's the same thing. It's like you can't not think we're cute on that EP cover. It's impossible. So no matter what we look like now, we look good back then. That was on our EP. So, and I think too, a lot of people will say it's like the idea, and the music video especially. We've already gotten a bunch of comments saying like that brought back so many memories, and I think that's the whole theme behind the album. Is we're an early 2000s pop punk band. We like that style. That's what we're doing with our music. We're going to expand on it, but we're going to always kind of keep that at the base. And the video and the pictures and the old feels from feeling like you just said, Blink-182, it really kind of comes all together, and it does bring that message. So it's pretty cool.
And I think it works. It works with the album, and then again with the song, because like a lot of the lyrics are like about like self-reflecting on situations and stuff like that, which like brings you back to that piece of looking back on your life, like before you got here and stuff like that. So that's why I was so into the kid idea as well, just because it's a lot about like self-analyzing and stuff like that,
Big time.
Right. So looking ahead to the future, you said you're already working on new material and planning on getting back into the studio.
Yeah. EP2, we want to get in like this year. Yeah. Like we would like to release EP2 this year.
Yeah, for sure. And Maddie's
like on the second half of the year.
Right.
Yeah. Maddie's already written like two songs that we're already working on. Adam wrote a song that we're already working on. Like we're moving. Maddie
single release in the summer, right?
We're hoping.
We are very much hoping to have a single release in the summer, though none of that is nothing like in writing or anything yet.
Nothing really confirmed.
One of the things I'll say about the way that we've been writing since EP1 is like when you finally record your first professional session, you have a lot of realizations about how the process is going to go and how writing and rehearsing and stuff. So what tends to happen is, all of us have a hand in bringing a structure of the song. We get together as a group and kind of hash that out. And what's interesting is, we could have 3 or 4 rehearsals where we're working on one song. But our very last rehearsal, we basically threw a song together in one rehearsal. It just kind of clicked, you know? So we're at a point now where I think we're all feeling confident that like some point in the next like few months, we're going to be ready to maybe start throwing some things down in a recording studio, because I think we're all like real jazzed up to like start putting things together and writing stuff, and you know, we're all communicating like pretty intensively about things and bringing it all together. Like, you know, props to Maddie who just kind of recorded us this bass line, and that bass line, we sat down at like 6:30 p.m. and you know, by like 8 o'clock we had basically an entire song structure. And I think that we're all, you know, pretty amped about the momentum that's going, and I could definitely see us putting things together in a faster motion and starting to put them down, you know, in the studio very soon.
For sure.
Well, that's good news. I look forward to it.
It's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be, you know, we're working on some new sounds too. It's gonna be fun.
Right. That was what I
think there's so far in the first two, like a little bit more emo influences, a little bit more aggression.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's gonna get angrier. Maybe not necessarily lyrically, but just the music's gonna get a little more powerful, I think.
A little bit. Yeah. At least from what we've put together so far.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more
punchier.
Strong like bull. That's it. That's how we're doing it from now on.
Make sure we'll screen grab that. That's how we're describing it.
I was like, wait, what's that movie? Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Well, that's good.
Sure, by the way.
Well, I look forward to hearing it, because I know that was one of the things that I thought when I was listening to the first EP. Is I was like, what would this sound like if they just went a little more aggressive with it?
Like a little harder.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting is that what we've realized in rehearsals and what you realize when you're recording on the first one is we have become much more honest and vocal with one another about things that we like and don't like. And you know, we've gotten into some situations like where we're in rehearsals where we're doing it and it's going great. And there's some like disagreements, and then we just kind of like get in each other's faces with honesty about it. And then we're like, fine, let's do it again. Let's try it. And then when we get angry and we throw it together, we're like, shit, that was really good.
All right, did you record that?
Yeah,
always record.
I think there's something to be said about a band who's been together a bit, who's experienced, you know, the recording process and the release process and stuff, to realize that being aggressively direct with one another actually leads to much more productive writing situations.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what we're finding as we're writing and recording brand new things, is that we're literally just kind of like not holding back anymore. And it's worked out really well, even if in some cases it's like, you know, a couple of yelling fights like going on.
That's the thing, we're all friends. Like, and we were friends. We've all been friends for like so many, like
at least a decade.
I've known him since I was 14. I've known Adam. Like, I played in bands with Adam when we were younger, but we reconnected in college. Then obviously met his brother. I've known Matt through our group of like pop punk, you know, like hardcore friends that we're all a part of. I met Matt through that group like 10 years ago. So we're all friends, and when we're in that basement, we are able to like yell at each other, because that's what we do anyways. Like, when we're partying, we get each other, like, we give each other shit all the time. Like, that's what we do. So we don't take it personally at all. It's just like, you don't like it, fine, I'll fix it the next time. Let's go. Let's get it going. Count us in, Mark.
Also, the thing about, like, I think we sound a lot more aggressive when we're playing in the Collins basement. It's just everyone cranks to max volume and it's just like loud. But when you get in the studio, it's way different vibe, and you like kind of take a little breather, and it's a lot less like intense. So that kind of changes the sounds a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I never thought of that.
Intensity, yeah, for sure.
I think vocally.
For sure.
It's going to be like for sure vocally, it's going to be just a little bit more aggressive. Like there are parts in the songs that we've been working on where there's definitely like a couple little screams. Like, it's not, you know, not becoming some post-hardcore band or something, but like just a tad more. Not trying to be a Day to Remember or something like that, but you know, just a little bit more.
it's the intensity. It's this part of the song doesn't warrant me singing it or Adam singing it. It warrants you not screaming it either like an Atreyu song or like a hardcore song, like he said, but like that emotional scream, like just like that's necessary. And we're putting a lot of our writing is getting to that point where I think of like bands like Trash Boat or even Wonder Years does it in some of their stuff.
I think like some of the more emotive Wonder Years stuff, I think Trash Boat has been a pretty big, especially newer Trash, like leaning towards newer Trash Boat, has been a pretty big influence vocally with what I'm writing. Oh, Colin, you guys froze. Wave your hands frantically.
They are gone. They're just straight up gone. They look so pissed too.
They do.
If you ever had anything you wanted to say to them, now's the time because they can't talk back.
Now is the time.
Oh, yeah, I want to kick both of them out.
Yeah.
On top of them.
Let's
Yeah,
get
we're doing power trio right now.
Yeah. Bass, drums, and I'm gonna stop playing guitar. Just vocals only. I'm gonna start rapping. I'm gonna start rapping. We're gonna form a DNB. Whoa, oh.
All right, so Matt, we just need Adam to freeze now too, and then we can kick him out also.
There
we go. You're back.
It's sorry, I don't know. Colin internet is bullshit. It's terrible.
Technology never works, bro.
Well, that was actually the first time you've dropped though, and normally your house is way worse.
That's true.
Yeah, and y'all been here. Why does my internet? It should not suck. It sucks. Fucking bullshit.
You and your wife work from home.
Oh, I know. Oh, don't even talk. I lose business calls all the time with it. Gotta sit in this one spot when I do my business
Anyways, what did we miss out on?
Yeah, what did we miss?
Oh,
You guys are kicked out of the band.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck finding somebody with a beard as good as this. Mark
and a mustache like this.
Got it right here, buddy.
Yeah, but you don't have the crappy mustache if I'm gone.
I'll make my mustache.
I'll do it. I can do it. I'll step up.
Everyone's on board, so Colin, see you later.
it's like a prerequisite. You need a crappy mustache. You can't be a band.
That's right.
It's all about the crappy mustache, bro.
Oh, jeez. Well, we covered a lot of ground here today. And
yeah, we did.
I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm not trying to push you off. We got plenty of time. But
how dare you, Tyler?
This is going to be the point where I stop having questions and we can just kind of chat.
Oh, man. It's all good, dude. We're happy that you had us. Like, we always love hanging out as a band and hanging out with, people that are doing fun stuff for, bands like us. So it's super cool that you had us on, and hopefully you had fun hearing more about who we are, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why I wanted to start doing this in the first place, was to network a little bit. Yes. Okay, I'll give you that. But also to give bands more of a platform to be themselves and to talk about like how they came about, and not just bands, like photography and things like that. Anything that people are creatively into, I want to know more about it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Now that we've gotten to the point where I ran out of questions that I'm dying to ask you, we'll circle back. What does everybody think of the new A Day to Remember record? Because I know
nice. All right.
Hold on, I need to get a drink for this. Hold on.
All right.
I just started.
Can I start?
All right.
I think
you're starting, Eric. Do you want to start?
I'll start while Colin's
all right.
Because Colin should be the last one because he's going to talk about it forever.
But Colin and I are going to pretty much agree.
Yes. My thought process is that it's very good, but also very much the direction I figured A Day to Remember was going to be moving. I think there's a significant amount of pop rock influence in that album. I think there's some great tracks. I think it's a solid album. But if you're like a real diehard A Day to Remember fan and you're not very open-minded to the idea, that you're probably going to end up like kind of shunning it a little bit. I just think that one of the things that really didn't help their cause is how long it took them to release it.
Big time. I agree with that.
Yeah, it took it forever. But there are some tracks on that album that are absolute, staples in the A Day to Remember repertoire.
Yes.
Fuck Your Money?
Yeah, you like Fuck You Money? You like that one?
Oh, I love it.
I do.
Holy Money are my two favorites off of it.
I think one of the things that we're moving towards here is this new punk movement. And I think a lot of these post-hardcore bands are starting to adapt to that idea of being a little bit more melodic. A Day to Remember, gave us some fire hard tracks.
Well, no shit.
On that album. They're great. Yeah, there's a couple tracks on there where you're like, this is like harder than anything.
It's literally on fire, right? Resentment, they're on fire.
Yeah, Resentment, Resentment, yeah. But I love it. I think it's a great album. I've been listening to it on repeat quite a bit when I drive. So I'm into it. I don't know.
Understand that we are, without a doubt, in the minority for liking it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Because I also really, really like it. I think "Fuck You Money" is an absolute jam. "Only Money" makes me cry, and I can barely get through it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I was listening to Shane told his podcast, Lead Singer Syndrome. He on Fridays on the podcast level they release the new Noise, and they were talking about it when I was listening to it on the way over here, and like his partner on there, Mikey, like hated it. He thinks that it's all fake. Like he thinks it's phoned in and like very fake. He didn't like a single song on it.
That doesn't make any sense. Bad Friends is the hardest A Day to Remember song I think I've ever heard.
Right, but most people are mad because it's not hard the whole way through. Like, people don't think of A Day to Remember as a pop punk band who is heavy. They only think of them as a heavy band for some reason. And I'm like, but they're not. They're a pop punk band who can be heavy. So I don't have any problem with how light the album was. I also personally think that the mix is incredible.
Yeah, it's a really good mix.
Like over headphones, I feel like that you hear this instrument here, this instrument back here. It's a whole world when I'm listening to that mix on headphones.
Yeah, that's sick.
I think it's dope. Is it their best album? Probably not. Like probably still that first one. Well, not the first one, but the one that Downfall of Us All was on. Homesick.
Yeah.
Probably Homesick. But, like, would I give it number 2?
Old Record's my number 2.
I might give it number 2.
That's an unpopular opinion right there.
That's a super.
I would go Common Courtesy for number 2. Like, that one was that reinvented their sound quite a bit too. Like,
Common Courtesy was super heavy.
It was also poppy though. We Got This, or no, We Got This was on Bad Vibrations. Sorry, that's right.
Oh yeah, see, I would put Bad Vibrations above Common Courtesy myself. I don't know. I really like.
What do you think, Maddie? What do you think
about the new album?
Yeah,
I kind of just, it's not super memorable to me is the issue. Like I can't, outside of the major singles, I can't remember most of the tracks. Like, but also the fact that those singles have been around for like over a year now has kind of. So I haven't had enough time to marinate with that album yet, but definitely Resentment is like a banger. I will listen to that on any mix, like no problem. The music video is actually pretty badass too. Like I'm listening to a lot more podcasts and music these days, but like I do appreciate like a high energy, high production value music video. They're like MTV kind of throwback era, but I also kind of, it's weird with like the Marshmello collab song because my wife, she's not my fiance anymore. My wife is like super into that song, so we'll throw that on. It's like kind of like one of those songs you can bridge the gap between the genders a little bit, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. But overall, the album it's solid, but like I liked the singles a lot. I needed more time to marinate with that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, marinate on it. Mark, what do you think? Would you like it? Give me a thumb up or a thumb down.
He hasn't listened to it yet.
Homework. Give it a listen. A full. He's listened to it, just not a full probably.
Yeah, but like Matt doesn't have a job, so he has all this free time.
And man, I got projects.
I got projects. I'll close it by saying I love it. I'm more of like a hardcore kid, to be honest with you. Like, I love A Day to Remember's old stuff a lot more than their newer stuff. I still love A Day to Remember because they're actually honestly probably they're probably my favorite band, right?
They are your favorite.
Yeah, they're my favorite band. All right, yeah, they're my favorite band. So like but as your favorite band, you're always gonna like what they do. And with this one, I was hold on. For me, I pretty much always like what my favorite bands do. Like when Atreyu does crappy albums, and they're not crappy, everyone else thinks they're crappy. I love them.
They're garbage.
That's it, and there you go. Everyone says they're shit, and I'm like, no, they're not. They're fucking awesome. But with A Day to Remember, I was expecting to be like defending it, like being like, oh, don't worry, it's awesome. And I don't even feel like I have to do that. Like, people just need to listen, because every A Day to Remember fan did this with Bad Vibrations. They did it with Common Courtesy. It's like, hey, thanks for taking absolutely forever to give us an album, and this kind of stinks. And then like 5-10 minutes later, you're like, oh, that's kind of good. And then you're making dinner later that night, and you're fucking jamming out. And then 2 weeks later, we're all at a show anyways. So everyone loves A Day to Remember. You're not gonna love it at first, like you said, Maddie. Let it resonate, and you're gonna fall in love with like half the album, and you're just gonna be like, okay, it's a great A Day to Remember album. That's what everyone's gonna do. That's what
I don't know because like I have like other friends who have given it like way more than one shot. Like they're through their 5th listen, and they're still like, I don't know if I like this.
The song Everything We Need is something like that. When you end an album like that, it tells you exactly what they're trying to do. Like they don't care anymore. They're just being like, guys, we're going to play our music. This is what we're going to do. For everybody that wants to join the freaking ride, let's go. If you don't, then that's fine. You're still probably going to come to one of our shows, I bet, though.
Right.
They are. Like
I very much agree there. I think that they wrote this album for themselves without thinking too much about what the fans needed them to do.
Well, do you kind of think, though, that Bad Friends is that? Like, they're saying,
yes,
all right, we're going to do this poppy-type album. We better throw our hardest jam.
We have to have our hardest song ever on this. Yes.
Like, that's black and white to me. That is black and white to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they just did what they wanted to do, and sounds like we all like it except for Maddie. But that's again, we're the unpopular crowd.
Hold up, though, Tyler. What do you think about it?
Yeah, what do you think?
I've been waiting for that. So I wanted everybody to get their say in before I gave my opinion on it. So I listened to the whole thing a couple times over. The first time I listened to it, I hated it. I thought it was boring. It reminded me sort of something that you would put on in the background of commercials. Like, yeah, okay. I could see Viva La Mexico in a Corona commercial.
Well, yes,
or
Viva La Mexico, without a doubt, the most controversial song.
Yeah.
Or
what like somebody posted a meme online that was like, it was just like the album cover was like, A Day to Remember presents songs you can play at your beach wedding.
All right, go ahead, Tucker.
Or like Bloodsucker, like it seemed like you could take that one and kind of put it in the back of a commercial. Like they all seem, that's the general theme, that it's more commercial, like more commercially appealing than they've ever done before. But after I listened to it a few times, the songs are fun. It's catchy, at least. You know, they get stuck in your head, like, you know, Fuck You Money and all that. Like, even the, you know, Everything We Need at the end, that one.
Yeah, that is epic. Yeah.
Is nice. It's like a nice country song that they've never had
It is
before.
very country, very country.
Yeah.
But if you take this record and you put it with Bad Vibrations together as a package deal, that's A Day to Remember. It's like they made it's almost like they made a double album of what they would have done a long time ago with the two records. Because
I like that take.
Bad Vibrations
is a hot take.
Is very heavy. And they've got a couple pop songs on there, but if you listen to it start to finish, it's very heavy. You know, you could throw down probably to the whole record. And this one you can't. But if you put them together, I think that's what they are. And this record is just completing that whole thought. That's why it sucks that it took 5 years for them to drop it, because if they'd have done it all in one joint, more people would see it that way.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's
so the delay was like a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a good point, man.
I think they're also downplaying how long it actually took them to finish the record, because I think, they talk about how they had 50 demos ready for this record, right? And then they had to cut it down and cut it down and cut it down. And I think they just took a long time to make the record, and that's why it suffered, because they spent so long making the record that they no longer had I don't think they cared about it anymore at the end. They're just like, you know what? Okay, we're going to pick 14 songs, put them out, go. We're done.
Yeah, I don't get why Viva La Mexico's on that record. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But
I still think it's fun, but it is the weakest song on the album.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I mean, I might.
It's a party song, and that's all.
Yeah, and I like. Dance Gavin Dance did that with their last album. They did a little more experimentation with that type of that feel, and I dig the shit out of that too. So I
thought the last Dance Gavin Dance album was their best one in a long time.
Probably their best album in a long time. But that they did the same thing with a very that type of that feel, that type of style of music mixed in with their music. And as much as I want to like it, that's the one song I can't grasp. I can't do that one.
Additionally, if you look at the scene as a whole, right, this record is really indicative of where all these bands that we grew up listening to are going to, is and you already saw it with Asking Alexandria, Bring Me the Horizon, Falling in Reverse, all these bands that used to play all of our favorite pop punk / metalcore hybrid things. Yeah. And now they're moving into this weird pop rock territory where it's experimental industrial pop almost.
True. I think Bring Me is doing it incredibly well though. I thought that last album that they came out with was dope. Weird, but dope.
Amazing.
I agree.
Good contribution.
We're not even talking about Bring Me Horizon, but we join them eventually, right? It's crazy.
But I mean, those bands that we all listen to, they've all changed. So A Day to Remember changes just a little bit, a little pivot, and everybody freaks out. But if you maybe they played it too safe, maybe they should have gone full tilt on the pop rock stuff, and people would have been this record sucks, and then you wouldn't have heard about it again.
Right.
It would have just been people that liked the record.
Yeah. The weird thing is that they're still doing the balance act where they to me, it's still kind of weird how they organize some of their songs too. Except for I love that Fuck You Money comes right after Bad Friends. I love that little progression, but it is still they're no matter what, every Day to Remember album has hard songs and then super poppy songs. We Got This is very poppy. I was with my wife driving the other day and she's like, nothing on Bad Vibration on that record is poppy. I'm like, We Got This is on that. She's like, oh, I love that song. And she loves pop punk, she loves all that stuff, but she's also a top 40 girl and she loves the poppy A Day to Remember a lot more. Her favorite A Day to Remember song is Fort Lauderdale. So All Signs. And that's a very good poppy mix with the post-hardcore type feel or whatever that you want to call that song. But they're going to be a pop band. That's what they're doing. And they're going to mix in their original sounds, but no matter what, they're not the old A Day to Remember, and people just have to kind of probably live with it at this point or don't listen. I'm not listening to Atreyu anymore because they got rid of my favorite part, and people can do that with Day to Remember. That's fine.
I did that with Blink-182 because they got rid of Tom, so.
Oh, I see. I think California was a good record.
What sucks for me is I really enjoy Blink-182 with Tom, but I don't like Angels and Airwaves. Does that make me a bad person? I just don't like it.
I don't like Angels and Airwaves
I think it
either.
Sucks.
Yeah,
you just lost our lead
no.
singer.
You know why I like Angels and Airwaves? I said it earlier. I'm so obsessed with Blink-182 and my idol is Travis Barker since I was 14 years old. I'm so obsessed with those three people that no matter what they touch, I like. I like Simple Creatures. Nobody else does. I like Plus 44. How many people even know who Plus 44 is outside of the pop punk world?
That album.
But
I'm a huge Plus 44 fan. Right. I was actually real sad when they just decided to get back together to Blink-182 because I really liked Angels and Airwaves. I liked Plus 44. So
Simple Creatures had one great song.
I like Simple Creatures. Like
I tried to listen to the rest of that EP that him and Alex whatever put together. That one song was crazy good, and the rest of it is like, what is this? Yeah. What are they? Well, I didn't even get what they were trying to do. But Angels and Airwaves. The great thing about that band is their guitar work. I don't give a shit about their vocals, and I'm not going to listen to it. They have one good song.
And the guitar player from they're a super group. So the drummer's the drummer from Offspring, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
Noodles, and then the guitar player is the dude from like oh man, I can't remember. I feel like a jerk now. Never mind. Move on. It is a super group though. It's not. It is a super group.
Hold up.
I want to say it starts with an A. I want to say A. Whoa.
Well.
Unprofessional, just like Tyler likes it.
That's right, baby. Even an unprofesh.
But anyways, yeah. So I think that's like a good example though of like a band that you're gonna like.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a supergroup. Who are they? Let's go.
Well, okay. So, all right. So the drummer is the drummer of. Do you remember this band? Lost Prophets.
Oh, I love Lost Prophets.
So we're not going to talk about the singer of Lost Prophets. We're just going to talk about Lost Prophets. They were a good band.
They were.
The drummer is from Lost Prophets. The guitarist is just from Angels and Airwaves, making them not a supergroup. He was also in Car Racer.
When they started, they were a supergroup because Noodles from Offspring was the drummer.
Oh, so
and the guitar player was, I want to say the guitar player was the dude from Hazen Street and not Chad from Newfound Glory, the other one, but that might be wrong. They were a supergroup. It doesn't matter.
Well, that would definitely be wrong.
I was even talking about him.
Chad, if it was not Chad, it's not Chad anymore because that dude.
No. I
was also convicted
of. Airways lineup has definitely changed. Tyler hates him.
Child sex.
No, I can't say I hate them, but like, I don't know. It's just not my thing. I want to interject. What do you got there? What is that with your band logo on it? Is that a beer?
It's a koozie, man.
A little Yeti. That's one of them Yeti koozies.
The seltzer koozie.
No way.
That's a seltzer koozie. You want one?
Yeah.
Well, we don't. So actually, this isn't the koozie. So we're not that legit yet. We got this little guy too. That's coming out soon.
Oh, that's sweet.
Little guy right there. But no, this is we have vinyl stickers like throw it on your car, so it looks like it's the actual thing, but it's just a sticker. We'll send you a bunch of swag. Don't worry
we'll
about
send
it.
him stuff.
Yeah.
Swag or swag?
Swag.
But you know what, Colin? You're not wrong. They've gone through a lot of members. They've had members of the Distillers in that band. They've had members of 30 Seconds to Mars in that band.
So Tom
making music? I haven't heard a new.
They're coming out with a new album. They're coming out with a new album like soon. Like it's.
They even have one of the Breckenridge brothers from Thrice is in that band.
No way.
What? Or at least was in that band.
Okay.
Either way, I still don't like them.
That's
because I don't care about Tom's vocal styles after Untitled. Basically.
So there you go, Tyler. Do you like Tom's vocal style?
On the old stuff, yes. On his new stuff, it's weird. You know, like it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's not for me because I'm still very much in that like pop punk, like even punk rock. I like to listen to, but like I don't know, Angels and Airwaves is again another one of those like weird industrial type. Like if you really break it down, and it's just something that never really resonated with me.
Do you think Tom is like he lost his accent and he has to like fake his own accent now? To, like,
no. So what he's trying to do is imitate Robert Smith, I think is his name, of The Cure.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So Tom is like almost, I wouldn't say stalker obsessed, but extremely obsessed with The Cure, and like has wanted to be him from The Cure for a long time. That's when he started putting on that accent. Except he doesn't do it well. So I
mean, we all loved it when he did it with Blink because
I didn't.
Well,
Like Neighborhoods was just an album that they were trying to be Angels and Airwaves, which was super.
You weren't a kid when Neighbors came out. I'm talking about Enema. Y'all
do that accent on Enema.
He does it in Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. He says Yed. It started with the Yed.
The Yed thing was on Untitled, my guy. In Miss You.
You mean self-titled?
No, it's Untitled.
It's Untitled.
I thought it was called Blink-182.
You're telling? No, it's Untitled.
No, it does not have a name. And we could debate about this forever.
In my iTunes, like early 2000s, it said the album was called Blink-182.
iTunes was wrong.
iTunes sucks, bro. It's not even iTunes anymore. It's Apple Music. Why do you think they're fucking wrong? Get out of here. Let's go. Well, I'm glad we were able to talk about Angels and Airwaves because obviously you see we're a split group about that. And he likes them. Don't let him freaking tell you he doesn't.
I love them.
See, this started as a conversation about a day to remember, and you snuck it in. It was sneaky.
Yeah.
Little sneak.
Sneak.
All right, guys. I don't want to keep you all day. Did you have any final thoughts, anything that you wanted to make sure that anybody who potentially could watch this knows about? Anything you want to plug?
At the end of the day, we came out with a new music video. It's on YouTube. You can pretty much find us anywhere on social with just Promise Game. We don't have underscores. We don't have numbers. It's literally just Promise Game on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube is a little different. Just type in Promise Game. If you want to hear our stuff after listening to us babble about our music today, go for it. It's on YouTube. New music video just came out on Friday. It's super fun. Like Tyler said earlier, if you're into seeing a bunch of like little kids having the time of their lives, then that video is definitely for you. So, but no, thanks for having us. I think this is the first interview we've done with the whole band. Adam and Eric and I have done a couple on our own. Wanted to thank you for saying get the whole band together. That'd be awesome because this is cool for us. And with COVID especially, it kind of sucks. We don't get to have fucking Adam. We're trying to say something nice. You know what? Screw it. You know what? Screw it. Fuck it. We're Promise Game. We love you guys. Just listen to our shit. All right. Cool.
One last question. Promise Game. Where did the name come from?
Ooh. Whoa. The name.
I know the answer.
Oh, we took forever to get to the name.
I know the answer if you want me to do it.
Do you have an answer? Guys, I don't remember.
It's my answer. It was my band name. I don't want to steal the thunder, but we went through 1,000 band names. We all came up with a bunch of ideas and we did a bunch of thes and people didn't like the. And then we did a bunch of this and people no, don't like that. And then finally it was literally on our little Google chat. I was just like, guys, I just looked everywhere. And I was actually watching That Thing You Do, that movie, the Tom Hanks movie. And it was Shades at one point just says don't worry, I promise. And it hit, I'm like, Promise Game. And literally looked right on, went to Spotify, no Promise Game, none. And I'm like, okay, cool. No, went to Instagram, no Promise Game, no nothing. Promise Game wasn't a thing. There was Promise Games.
That's true. That was kind of important was searching all social media to make sure the name wasn't already taken somewhere.
Right. And I was just like, guys, this is available everywhere. And we were all cool. It was the Promise Game at first. And then it was Mark, the drummer, who basically said, guys, I don't want the. And Mark said Thursday. Mark, wave. Mark, wave. Just wave.
Can't even do that.
So it was the Promise Game, but Mark was like, I don't want the. And I was like, okay, fine. So it literally was because we went through a ton of names that were, and you have to differentiate yourself too. And I had never heard of Promise Game.
Well, we used to be Crown Court, which is a street.
Oh, that's right. That was our first name.
And it was it sounds too much like Hawthorne Heights or so. It was giving the wrong vibe, so we had to come up with a new name.
Right.
And
Hey,
calling
I wanted the band to be called Folklore, and they all told me I was
No,
stupid.
the original. Actually, Tyler, do you want to hear a really funny story before we go?
Absolutely.
All right, the original band name before we were even a band, when Eric and I decided, because we go to Patriots games all the time, we tailgate, and we were literally like always been about pop punk, and we were already talking about maybe doing a band at this point. So we pack up the car to do the tailgate. We're in New Hampshire. It's like an hour and a half drive down to Foxborough.
Oh, that's right.
And
That's a great story.
I have a little cockapoo. He's 12 years old. His name's Ollie. He was probably at the time he was like 10 maybe. And he loves to just like jump in your car. So we had no idea. We were driving down to the Patriots game. We had no idea that he was in the car until like 45 minutes, like 50 minutes into the drive. I'm like, screw it, he's coming. So Eric called him the Tailgate Stowaway for the rest of the day. And that was actually going to be our original band name, Tailgate Stowaway. Everybody in this band hated that band name.
Yeah. Too long.
So that was the original band name. Then it went to Crown Court. And again, like Maddie said, it didn't work. And we got lucky, I think, to be honest with you. It just like popped in our heads, and we got lucky with it.
Honestly, at this point, just do a random name generator and make sure there's nothing else, because everything has been taken at this point.
Yeah, it is.
You know what made us drop the from the Promise game is when we decided to go with the PG.
Oh, that's when we did it. That's right. It was, when we did that.
We decided to lay into the movie type branding.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were like, all right, let's just drop the. Because I held on to the for a long time.
You're right. Matt, I don't know shit. I don't even know.
Yeah, but you do talk a lot.
That's true.
Yeah. Yo, my boss says the same thing.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up on stream. So everybody out there, thanks for listening, watching, whatever you happen to do. My name's Tyler. These guys are Promise Game. You can find them on social media just about everywhere under Promise Game. I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of whatever it is that you're doing. Later.